London, home to world-class restaurants, an unparalleled music scene, and some seriously rich history. London is a wonderful city to visit, and with England's fantastic public transportation, it's a breeze to get from point A to point B. You could easily spend a week or more exploring all that each London neighborhood has to offer, and still have things left over for your next visit. With sites and cultural hubs like the National Portrait Gallery, the Tower of London, Houses of Parliament, Royal Air Force Museum London, Tower Bridge, and all manner of food, drink, shopping, history, and culture, it's no wonder why the Big Smoke is a top travel destination. A London rite of passage and a mecca for the culinary curious, Borough Market in London is one of our foodie favorites in the entire capital. Loved by locals and tourists alike, it is one of the best free things to do in London. With something to suit everyone's budget and tastes, there is no better way to spend a few hours exploring all the food stalls, trying some samples and generally indulging in dishes from all over the world. From oysters oozing with Tabasco to the perfect paella, you won't go hungry, best to go with a full wallet and empty belly, definitely not the other way around. This is one of the oldest and most cherished food markets in London, with the original market here dating back to at least the 12th century. Some of the fromagerie here smell like they still have cheese on sale from way back then. The one downside to Borough Market being so good is that it gets loads of visitors, mainly tourists and day trippers, so it can get very busy, especially around lunchtime. Queues can be quite long, so if you want to explore unencumbered, visit early, especially on a Saturday. Not sure what to eat? Then no problems, as lots of the stalls offer samples for you to try before you buy. On our last visit, we tried everything from mushroom pâté to paella, goat's cheese to Gouda. The famous Neal's Yard Dairy has an outpost here, and there are many fromagerie and cheese stalls in the main Borough Market Hall. Borough Cheese Company also has some standout lines, including Comté and Sparkenhoe Blue. Just make sure your hotel or hostel room has a fridge before you buy a whole wheel of cheese. Visit Buckingham Palace with a special opening each summer. Located in the city of Westminster, the palace is often at the center of state occasions and royal hospitality. Buckingham Palace serves as both the office and London residence of Her Majesty the Queen. It is one of the few working royal palaces remaining in the world today. During the summer and on selected dates from November to December and at Easter, visitors can tour the 19 state rooms, which form the heart of the palace. These magnificent rooms are decorated with some of the greatest treasures from the royal collection, including paintings by Rembrandt, Rubens, and Canaletto. This spectacular exhibition, alongside the summer opening of Buckingham Palace, includes an unprecedented display of a number of the Queen's portraits and personal possessions, marking the Platinum Jubilee of the Queen's accession to the throne in 1952. The Royal Mews and the Queen's Gallery are part of the Buckingham Palace site, but have their own visitor entrances and so can be visited separately. Or the Royal Mews can be visited as part of a combined ticket. Both venues are open for most of the year, including when the palace itself is closed. Try to time your visit to see Changing the Guard, a popular free event which takes place outside Buckingham Palace on certain days from 10:45 a.m. and lasts around 45 minutes, with the actual handover taking place at 11 a.m. Be sure to arrive early to secure a spot with a good view. During the Second World War, a group of basement offices in Whitehall served as the center of Britain's war effort. The complex, known as the Cabinet War Rooms. These historic rooms once buzzed with planning and plotting, strategies and secrets. Today visitors can explore the underground headquarters for themselves, see where Churchill and his war cabinet met, sometimes late into the night, and look through the lens of history into the map room, where the books and charts have remained exactly where they were left on the day the lights were switched off in 1945. The Churchill Museum, also part of Churchill War Rooms, has a vast collection of objects, which together explore the stories of Churchill's life and legacy. Highlights from the current display include a rattle used by Churchill as a baby, a drawing by Graham Sutherland commemorating Churchill's 80th birthday, and the flag used to drape Churchill's coffin at his state funeral. UK schools, further education colleges and youth groups can learn about leadership and decision-making and how lives in Britain were affected by the Second World War by booking a self-guided site visit or a site visit with a learning session. Learning sessions use original artifacts, documents, photographs, posters and film from collections. IWM also undertakes and supports academic research, and collections are open to the public. Glide above the Thames in the Emirates airline cable car and take an aerial views of London's skyline as you travel from the Greenwich Peninsula to the Royal Docks. Enjoy beautiful views of the Thames, London's skyline, the Greenwich Peninsula, the Royal Docks and the O2. View sunset over the river and watch the city come alive after dark with extended night flights after 7 p.m. Save money by booking online. Book adult single tickets on the Emirates airline for £5 and child tickets for £2.50. Or book a round-trip ticket, which costs £10 for adults and £5 for children. Houses of Parliament, also called Palace of Westminster, in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the seat of the bicameral Parliament, including the House of Commons and the House of Lords. It is located on the left bank of the River Thames in the Borough of Westminster. To keep your waiting time down, it's best to arrive at 1 p.m. or later. The House of Commons Information Office can let you know in advance what is to be debated on specific days in the House of Commons. The public gallery is open when the House is sitting. A royal palace was said to have existed at the site under the Danish King of England Canute. The building, however, spoken of by William Fitzstephen as an incomparable structure, was built for Edward the Confessor in the 11th century and enlarged by William I, the Conqueror. In 1512 the palace suffered greatly from fire and thereafter ceased to be used as a royal residence. St. Stephen's Chapel was used by 1,550 for the meetings of the House of Commons, held previously in the chapter house of Westminster Abbey. The Lords used another apartment of the palace. A fire in 1834 destroyed the whole palace except the historic Westminster Hall, the Jewel Tower, the cloisters, and the crypt of St. Stephen's Chapel. Big Ben, Tower Clock, famous for its accuracy and for its massive bell. Strictly speaking, the name refers to only the Great Hour Bell, which weighs 15.1 tons, 13.7 metric tons, but it is commonly associated with the whole clock tower at the northern end of the Houses of Parliament, in the London Borough of Westminster. The tower itself was formerly known as St. Stephen's Tower until 2012, when it was renamed Elizabeth Tower on the occasion of Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee, celebrating 60 years on the British throne. Whether you're hoping for a relaxing stroll around one of London's most stunning parks, or an exciting adventure for every member of your family to enjoy, Hyde Park offers the best of both worlds. From football, swimming and boat rowing, to snapping photos or even just having a quiet afternoon reading a book, Hyde Park has it all. The land originally belonged to Westminster Abbey until 1536, when Henry VIII confiscated it and made it into private royal hunting grounds. The park was open to the public during the 17th century. The World Fair exhibition of culture and industry, called the Great Exhibition, took place in Hyde Park in 1851. For this event, the Crystal Palace was built on the south side of the park, but the building was removed from the area shortly afterwards because of citizen turmoil. Hyde Park is considered the oldest park in the city, and since it opened, it has housed duels, protests, and concerts. For special occasions, especially royal occasions, gun salutes are fired from Hyde Park at midday. As well as going for a walk and forgetting the city's bustling traffic, you can also sunbathe, skate and cycle, among many other activities. For those that want to rest, but don't want to lie on the grass, deck chairs are available for hire in the park. One of the top activities, both for tourists and Londoners, is boating on the Serpentine Lake, a small oasis inhabited by many species of wildlife. Make sure you check Hyde Park's official website beforehand in case there are any scheduled events or celebrations during your visit to London. If you want to swim in the Serpentine Pool, there are cheaper admission costs if you arrive after 4 p.m. Keep an eye out for the royal guards and horses who might be randomly marching in the park during your visit. Take some nuts with you so you can feed the friendly squirrels living in the park. Always there have been 6 ravens at the tower. If the ravens fly away, the kingdom will fall. John Owen Theobald said. The London Tower is history. 900 years of history and blood. It has served as a royal palace, a fortress, an infamous prison, a mint, a military storehouse, a treasury, home to the crown jewels, an armory, a public records office, a royal observatory, and a royal zoo. Even as a place of execution. Today, the tower is one of the UK's most visited landmarks, with black ravens ambling across its greens. You will be blissfully immersed in the various successions of the Edwards, the Richards, and the Henrys. Off-season, November to February, you may be able to walk in without pre-booked tickets. In season, you can wait in line up to 2 hours. If you loathe queues, purchase a ticket online in advance. The tower is also free with the London Pass, which you will likely want to purchase if you're in London for several days. You can begin your visit with one of the tower's free yeoman water tours. They begin near the main entrance to the tower. They leave every 30 minutes and give you a quick overview of the site. With the likes of Rembrandt, Da Vinci, Monet, and Van Gogh lining its walls, it's no wonder why millions of art lovers flock to the National Gallery in London each year. Not only is the National Gallery one of the most famous art museums in the world, it also contains some of the biggest and most diverse painting collections on the planet, with artwork from the French Impressionists, the Italian Renaissance, the late medieval period, and much more. Located in Trafalgar Square, the National Gallery's location was chosen specifically because the historic square is considered by many to be the heart of central London. Originally, however, the National Gallery was located in a small Pall Mall townhouse which was owned by John Julius Angerstein, whose 38 paintings were the first to be added to the gallery, but due to the collection's massive expansion, it was eventually moved to Trafalgar Square in 1838. Not just limited to artwork, today the National Gallery hosts numerous temporary exhibits throughout the year, as well as family workshops for children, and even regular concerts. Perhaps it may go without saying, but reserve at least half an hour before or after your visit to the museum to check out Trafalgar Square. And make sure you snap some photos of Nelson's Column, one of the most iconic landmarks in London. There is a National Gallery membership which costs £50, so members can get free entry into exhibitions for 12 months, and also take part in members-only events and special offers. Recommended visiting time is around 3 to 4 hours, but you may need and or want to reserve the entire day for exploring the galleries in their entirety. Photography throughout the National Gallery is usually allowed, but for personal and non-commercial purposes only. Photography in the exhibitions as well as the use of flash photography, tripods and selfie sticks are strictly prohibited. Be aware that you won't be allowed to carry any bags on your backs while visiting the gallery, but you can leave your personal items in the cloakroom for a small fee. If you're worried about missing any important artwork or you're short on time, the National Gallery provides a variety of audio tours which focus on a specific topic or theme. The Royal Air Force Museum London is a national museum that celebrates and commemorates the story of the Royal Air Force. Take off to the Royal Air Force Museum and soar through the history of aviation from the earliest balloon flights to the latest Eurofighter. Gaze at a world-class collection of over 100 aircraft, aviation/wartime memorabilia and artifacts together with an awe-inspiring sound and light show that takes you back in time to the Battle of Britain. The Aeronauts Interactive Center offers hands-on entertainment and education for all ages and includes cockpit controls, coordination tests, engine lifting, airspeed, drop zone, pilot testing and more. Much of the museum is housed in historic aircraft hangars that once formed part of Hendon Aerodrome. The hangars are home to displays on helicopters and other rotary-winged aircraft, fighter aircraft, an overseas aircraft collection, and wings over water, showcasing planes that could land and take off from the water. The Bomber Hall shows how bombers developed in World War I and evolved into the technologically advanced models we see today. Learn about the role played by RAF Bomber Command and the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II. When Shakespeare's Globe opened in 1997, it was the first thatch-roofed building permitted in the British capital since the Great Fire of London in 1666. Today, this historically accurate, open-air recreation of the theatre where Shakespeare's plays were performed, located just a few hundred yards from the original Globe, has been joined by a second venue, a candlelit indoor playhouse where audiences can have a genuine 17th-century theatre experience. Both are musts for visiting theatregoers, culture vultures and fans of the Bard from all over the world. How they came to be built on London's Bankside is a story of determination verging on obsession on the part of the late American actor Sam Wanamaker. The area of London south of the Thames and now known as Bankside was, in Shakespeare's time, a kind of red light district outside London in the borough of Southwark. The area was home to theatres and pubs as well as bear-baiting arenas and brothels. Despite what you may have seen in the film Shakespeare in Love, it's unlikely that Queen Elizabeth I ever traveled upriver from Greenwich to attend a play there. Instead, Shakespeare's company, the King's Men, were summoned to the royal palace to perform for her. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and find it informative. Please do not forget to subscribe, like and share our videos. St. Paul's Cathedral. Its glowing blue dome can be seen for miles, and it's also been a focal point for many important historical events in London. But once you tour the inside of St. Paul's Cathedral, you'll see why it has such an important place in London's history. Away from the ritz and glitz of London's West End, St. Paul's Cathedral and its surrounding streets feel as if they've been trapped in time. Not only is St. Paul's perched on the highest point of the City of London, it's also the second largest church building in the UK, and one of the oldest landmarks in London. It was built on the former location of a church, which had dated back to 604 AD. Legend has it that King Ethelbert of Kent built this wooden church in dedication to the Apostle Paul, but the church suffered massive damage in two separate fires, as well as in the Great Fire of London in 1666. The cathedral as it is seen today was built between 1675 and 1710, and was designed by architect Sir Christopher Wren, who was influenced by Michelangelo's Dome of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. No visit to St. Paul's Cathedral would be complete without walking up the 560 steps to the top of the dome and the Whispering Gallery. This massive circular enclosure provides visitors with magnificent views of the interior of the cathedral from up above, and it is said that even the slightest whisper can be heard throughout the cathedral thanks to the gallery's impressive acoustics. If you have the stamina, you can also walk a further 117 steps to view the Stone Gallery, and another 166 steps for the Golden Gallery. There are also several chapels located within St. Paul's Cathedral, such as the All Souls Chapel, dedicated to Field Marshal Lord Kitchener, and St. Dunstan's Chapel, which is reserved only for private prayer. There is also a chapel dedicated to St. Michael and St. George, the Middlesex Chapel, and the American Memorial Chapel, commemorating the 28,000 Americans who were killed in Britain during World War II. When looking across the London skyline, it's pretty hard to miss the Shard. It is 306 meters high and the second tallest freestanding structure in the UK, after all. The Shard, also known as the Shard of Glass or the London Bridge Tower, boasts 87 stories, 12 floors of residence, 3 restaurants, an open-air observation deck, and a viewing gallery. But for visitors and tourists, the Shard offers an amazing viewing experience of the London skyline that you won't be able to find anywhere else in the city, or even the world. The Shard was built to resemble a shard of glass through the heart of historic London, hence the name, and was first constructed in 2009. The building contains facades of angled glass planes which reflect both the sunlight and the sky, and in doing so its appearance miraculously changes with the weather and seasons. The Shard was also built to maintain stability under onerous conditions thanks to its post-tension concrete floors, load-bearing pillars, and a tapering shape which allows it to sway to a maximum of 400 millimeters. The Shard has appeared in several different movies, films and TV shows since its completion, such as The Snowman and The Snow Dog, in a 2013 Doctor Who episode The Bells of St. John, and even a 2014 episode of The Simpsons titled Treehouse of Horror. Be prepared to schedule at least 45 to 60 minutes if you want to visit the Shard's viewing gallery, and you will also need to pass through an airport-style security scanner once you enter the building. Handheld electronic guides with headphones are available for all visitors, which give detailed information on the different landmarks you can see from the viewing platforms during your visit. If you happen to visit the Shard on a rainy or foggy day, you will be issued a free ticket so you can return to the Shard within 3 months. If during your visit you miss out on seeing at least 3 major London landmarks, the London Eye, St Paul's Cathedral, the Gherkin, Tower Bridge or 1 Canada Square, you can speak to a member of staff at the ticket desk on the first level for your free return ticket. Unfortunately, the admission prices of the Shard are as steep as its height, but don't let that deter you from visiting this fantastic tourist attraction in London. You can save money by purchasing pre-booked tickets, which cost £24.95 for adults and £18.95 for children, and there are also a limited amount of walk-up tickets available each day, £29.95 for adults and £23.95 for children, if you don't mind waiting for the next available session. Otherwise, you could pay as much £100 per adult or per child, if you want to go up to the Shard's viewing gallery immediately. Children under the age of 4 can get into the Shard for free, however their tickets need to be booked beforehand through the Shard's official website. You've probably seen it in the Harry Potter and James Bond films, or maybe even heard about it in a London history lesson, but to see the Tower Bridge with your very own eyes is an experience in itself. The Tower Bridge was first built in 1894, and since then has become an iconic symbol of London thanks to its Victorian Gothic design. The construction of the bridge required more than 11,000 tons of steel, 5 contractors, and 450 workers to complete. Once construction was finished, the Prince of Wales, the future King Edward VII, and his wife the Princess of Wales, or Alexandra of Denmark, opened the bridge in an official ceremony on June 30, 1894. Since then it has become one of the most recognizable landmarks in London, as well as one of the most photographed bridges in the world, and is marveled upon by both history and architect fanatics alike. With nearly 7 miles of galleries in several different buildings, and over 2.3 million objects covering 5,000 years of fascinating history, to say that the Victoria and Albert Museum covers it all is an understatement. Not only is the Vonda Museum the largest museum of both decorative and applied arts in the world, it's also the world's leading museum of art and design, and houses a variety of items which range from architecture, ceramics, art and furniture, to fashion, sculptures, jewelry, and even theater and performance. When the museum was founded in 1852, it was originally known as the South Kensington Museum, but was eventually renamed the Victoria and Albert Museum in 1899 thanks to Queen Victoria's relentless efforts in expanding the museum into what it is today. But the Victoria and Albert Museum isn't just a museum. It's an ever-evolving and constantly changing venue, where visitors can not only learn more about the history of the world through its millions of objects, but also expand their own skills as well. Not only is it home to millions of objects, artifacts and paintings, the museum also hosts free talks and tours by experts, family and membership events, and even courses and classes on a wide range of topics and subjects. There are also a variety of workshops held at the museum throughout the year, which focus on everything from modern calligraphy to book illustration, and even iPad sketching classes. The collections at the Victoria and Albert Museum are separated into different categories which focus on different areas of the world: South Asia, the Islamic Middle East, Europe from 1600 to 1815 and Japan, or specific areas of interest such as architecture, jewelry, glass, ceramics, paintings, photographs, textiles, and theater and performance. Make sure your flash is off on your camera at all times when taking photos of objects in the museum. Weekends tend to be more crowded, so if you want to avoid the crowds, try to visit during a weekday, or late on a Friday. If you want to join in on the late night Friday's festivities, try to arrive as early as possible as the events are on a strict first-come first-served basis. Nowadays, Westminster Abbey is perhaps best known for being the venue of Kate Middleton and Prince William's spectacular royal wedding, which was viewed by over 2 billion people all over the world. But Westminster Abbey has a rich history that dates back nearly 1,000 years. Sometime around 1050, Benedictine monks first traveled to the site where the abbey sits today to set up a coronation church. The church was eventually expanded upon, and Westminster Abbey as we see it today was constructed between 1245 and 1272. Since then, it has been a key location for countless important events in English history, and some even believe it's the most important Gothic church in England. Not only is Westminster Abbey still used as an active place of worship, it also serves as a fascinating historical museum, as well as the final resting place of some of the most notable people in England's history. Out of all the attractions to see inside the Abbey, no two are as popular as the Royal Tombs and Poets' Corner sections, which contain the tombs of Elizabeth I, Mary Queen of Scots, as well as Charles Dickens, Robert Burns, T.S. Eliot, John Keats, and many, many more. Other notable tombs include those of Charles Darwin, and thousands of others ranging from famous prime ministers and politicians, to industrialists and even actors. The oak door near the Abbey's chapter house is also an important attraction inside Westminster Abbey. It is said to be the only surviving Anglo-Saxon door in England and can be dated all the way back to the time of Edward the Confessor, sometime between 1032 and 1064 AD. If you want to avoid the long queues and/or large crowds, head to Westminster Abbey on a Wednesday afternoon. Before you visit, download the free Westminster Abbey audio tour app on iTunes to learn more about the various attractions inside the Abbey. If you're only in London for a short period of time and want to see as many attractions as possible, the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben are only a 1-minute walk away, and it's a beautiful 15-minute walk to Buckingham Palace from Westminster Abbey as well. If you're travelling to London by train, make sure you take advantage of the railway's 2-for-1 entrance promotion. Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe and leave your comments.